Good afternoon, everyone. Constitution is not a mere lawyer document. It is a vehicle of life, and its spirit is always the spirit of age. Keeping this in mind, I welcome you all as we celebrate the 71st anniversary of adoption of Constitution by the Constituent Assembly. On behalf of Department of Political Science, I extend a warm welcome to each and everyone joined for the webinar. Firstly, I take this opportunity to welcome our Chairman, Dr. T. Somashekar, Secretary, Mrs. Bharati, and COO, Dr. Srinidhi K. Parthasarathi, in absentia. On behalf of Indian Academy Degree College Autonomous, I welcome our resource person for the session, Dr. George, for having accepted our invitation and gracing the occasion. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Hizaram Xavier, our beloved principal, a man of inspiration and a mentor to all of us. My sincere word of welcome reaches out to Mrs. Shalini, Vice Principal and Head, Department of Business Administration, and also Ms. Sushma Shri, Head, Department of UG Commerce. I extend warm welcome to faculty members and to my dear students. Now, let me introduce the resource person of the day. Dr. George, currently working as Assistant Professor, Department of Political Science in Parvathy's Arts and Science College, Dindigul, Tamilnadu. Sir has a rich experience in the field of teaching. He has completed his PhD from Gandhigram Rural University, Dindigul, Tamil Nadu. Sir has qualified UGC NET in Public Administration, Tamil Nadu SLET both in Public Administration and Political Science. And also SRF RGNF Research Grant. Sir is the member of editorial board in various international journals. He has published various chapters and articles in reputed national and international journals. We are privileged to have an opportunity to listen to Dr. George this afternoon. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. The screen visible, ma'am? Can you see once?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You can see, sir.
Yes, ma'am. A very good afternoon to everyone of you present here. It's a privilege to be present in an occasion organized by your organization. I thank Indian Academy to provide me an opportunity, especially on a Constitution Day. I feel very much happy to take this topic, our Constitution, our pride. I feel very happy, especially on the grounds of sharing some views about our Constitution. So, as a teacher of political science, I feel very much honored to take this topic on a day where our Constitution was adopted, that is on November 26, 1949, till now. We are celebrating each and every year as a Constitution Day. So, in this day, we need to find our forefathers who contributed for our Constitution, a privilege that shows that Dr.B.E. Ambedkar, a pioneer for our Constitution, we still believe in his ideology and we take this pride towards our nation, towards our sovereignty, towards our liberty and all kinds of things. So, in this ground, we would have some discussion about our Constitution, which makes us more privileged as well as it makes us more proud and more pride in our country. So the first thing which I want to share over here is that uh, what is exactly our constitution is. What is exactly our constitution means. So before going inside the definition, I need to understand that everyone would have a better understanding about the constitution. But for a common man to understand what is a constitution, it's very simple by saying that it is a set of rules and regulations. So even when you speak about rules and regulations, everybody functions based upon rules and regulations. Every institution functions with rules and regulations. One thing you need to understand, for all the institutions throughout India, whichever is functioning, you need a governing body. as you say that in many institutions you have bylaws, or we call it as the Bible, which functions over there. So in this ground, you need to understand that to function any institution or any organization, you need a bylaw. So to the overall country of India, you need a bylaw to govern each and everything. Take an example.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
George, sir. Sir,
Yes,
can you increase your volume? It's little louder.
yes,
It's not much audible. Sorry for the interpret.
yes, yes. Now, sir, is it okay? Hello.
So, little more, sir.
What do you want? Now, sir, is it okay? Now, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Now, is it okay?
Yes, it's audible. Please go ahead.
Okay. So, in this grounds, we were discussing what is a constitution, how far it is going on. So, it is a set of rules and regulation, as I was saying it earlier. To run even a country, you need a set of rules and regulation. So, you can see this example over here. So, it is a set of rules and regulations. You can understand that even for a game, I have given an example over here. You can find this. The pictures over here depict what you should do, what you should not do, and a red card. So this is what, even when you have a constitution, even if you run any organization, you have a constitution. Without a constitution, you cannot function. It is very difficult to run without a constitution. So in this ground, when you speak about the entire country, which has more than 28 states and 9 union territories. So when you speak about 28 states and 9 union territories, you need to have an understanding with all the states by saying that we are a union of states. By comparing, by saying that you all belong to India, and to govern them all together, you need a constitution. You need a constitution, and even a common man understands that a constitution is a set of rules and regulations. So many of them, they may be from science field or from any other field. They think that a constitution is a set of rules and regulations, and everybody believes that it is a set of rules and regulations. It plays an important role in all the parts of the country. Even if you have a game, even if you have a club, even if you have lots of organizations or anything, it's fully governed by set of rules and regulations. That thing is being guaranteed by the constitution. That thing is being guaranteed by the constitution, and you have these kinds of sets of rules and regulations. So this is one of the an example related to what is a constitution is. So the next one, what is the constitution? Once again, I'm asking, what is a constitution? In the sense is that you need to understand that some rules that are made by the legislatures, that is our parliament, you have your Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha in India. So we call it as the law. So the legislature frames the law for the entire country, and laws govern the society. Especially our laws govern the society. It regulates everyone and it works properly, because under the constitution only, what happens is that you make lots of laws towards the country. A law becomes as an act, and finally it is being amended to the country. You cannot amend an act or law against the constitution. You need to know your values, and you need to follow the law of the country, as well as you need to amend according to this, and you cannot go biased by amending a law inside a country which is unconstitutional in nature, which is unconstitutional in the nature in the sense that I cannot bring a new law by violating fundamental rights of any citizen, by violating a fundamental right of any citizen, or for an entire community or whatever it is. So we cannot do those kinds of things when you're speaking about these kinds of things. And if you're not having these kinds of things, sometimes it will lead to an anarchy. So anarchy form of government will be there, and sometimes it won't regulate the entire society. It will lead to an anarchy when you're speaking about this kind of character. So this is what when we speak about a general discussion about our constitution. Uh, the next one, in general, how do you define a constitution? You can find the diagram over here. A constitution is a dividend of two kinds of things, that is your government and the people. So it has a distinction between the people and the government, and it integrates by the name of a constitution. So what happens is that without a constitution, you don't have a government, and without people also, you cannot have a government. So here, what happens is that a constitution is the supreme law of the land. You might be knowing that it is the supreme law of the land. That is, you need to respect the law of the land. If you are violating the law of the land, what happens is that here, many of them, they try to violate the law of the land. Many of them, even us, we try to violate the law of the land. I can say you an example. So whenever you find a traffic policeman, if you're not wearing a helmet, what happens? The law says that if you're not wearing a helmet, they can punish you or they can penalize you to know that you are violating the law. So many times when you try to violate also, you are being fined or you are being penalized to say that you need to respect the law of the land. You need to respect the law of the land. And if you're arguing with them, take an example, if you're arguing with the cops by saying that, no, I cannot wear a helmet or something else, everyone are treated as equal. So you cannot say that uh, that I cannot respect the law of the land or those kinds of things. You cannot say those things to a policeman or somebody else. So he is fining you or whatever it happens, it is based upon an act or a law where everyone needs to respect it. So take an example, one incident in Bangalore, it happened. I think it happened before 3 or 4 years before. When the president of India came to Bangalore, what happened is that he was going in a convoy. You know what is a convoy? So when he was going in a convoy, an ambulance was rushing inside. An ambulance was rushing inside. What happened is that uh, if you know that you are respecting the law of the land, what you do is that you leave a way where an ambulance can rush, because right to life is very much important. Right to life is very much important. The president over here, he stopped his convoy and made the ambulance move inside, which shows that everyone has an equal right to enjoy over there, by saying that the law of the land is very much higher. When you're speaking in India, the law of the land is very much higher. It treats everyone as equal. Even if you're the first citizen of the country, you need to respect the law of the land. That's what we are coming to say. Even if you're a government, even if you're a people, you need to respect these kinds of things. So that only we say that it is always the supreme law of the land. It is very much important when you're speaking about, in a general term, when you're speaking about the constitution. So these ideas were very much impressed by Ambedkar. So he was very much a pioneer in designing these kinds of things, because he wanted to make our constitution very much stronger. He wanted to make our constitution very much stronger. Though we say that our constitution is a borrowed constitution, but borrowed in the sense is that the terms are being borrowed. You need to understand that the terms are being borrowed, their principles are being borrowed, but it is being designed according to our Indian nature. That is what we are very much proud of this when you're speaking about our constitution. The next slide which I want to show is that why do we need a constitution? So in this day, why do we need a constitution? You know that it took more than 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to complete a constitution. So we had a constituent assembly and everything was there. So our forefathers were thinking that we need to have a better constitution, and it should be a role model to another country or some other nation throughout the whole world. So we need to be very much sovereign in nature, and we wanted to have a better constitution than any other. That was his ideology, as well as many ideologies of our forefathers when they were framing our constitution. You might be knowing that history says that when we were framing a constitution, it took more than 2,000 amendments. We made more than 2,000 amendments inside our constitution to frame a better constitution to be given to our nation. So they took more than 2,000 amendments. But if you take our present constitution amendment, it's around 125 amendments, which is in process, which is being taking place. But you might be thinking that within 3 years of time, they had made more than around 2,000 amendments by drafting it, reshuffling it, and once again making it as a finished constitution. It made around 2,000 amendments. So that's why what I am saying to say here is that you need to understand why do we need a constitution, in the sense that it performs certain functions. It performs certain functions. The first function is to provide a set of basic rules that allow to minimal coordination amongst the members of the society. So you need a set of basic rules because our country is based upon lots of languages, culture, tradition, religion, and all kinds of things. And what happens here is that a set of basic rules should have a minimum coordination. If you are saving a country, you need to have a minimum coordination with the society, with the people, your culture, your tradition and religion, all kinds of things are very much important when you're speaking about this kind of character. And what you have is that you have a minimum coordination by saying that I have a unity in diversity. So this is a privilege which we have even in our constitution by saying that we have unity in diversity. We have lots of unity in diversity based upon our languages, constitutional privileges like fundamental rights, fundamental duties based upon our cultural rights, and all kinds of things have a minimum coordination with each other, and it starts to function according to certain kinds of things inside this. The second one, the second function of a constitution is to specify who has the power to make the decisions in the society. So it has a power. Power, you might be knowing. Power is one of the basic things when you're speaking about Max Weber as well as Marx, Karl Marx. He speaks much about power, authority, and influence. So it has an influence over the society. Power cannot be differentiated from authority and influence and other kinds of things. And what happens is that it makes you decide what is good for the society, and it is being decided how the government will be constituted. So what type of government, what type of government would be fulfilling our nation or other things, it is fully based upon a constitutional privilege. The third function of a constitution is to set some limits on what a government can impose on its citizens. These limits are fundamental in the sense that government may ever trespass them. So the third one, you can understand that it has some limitations, especially over the government. The government has certain limitations by saying that it cannot impose anything over its citizens. So if you take the rule of a dictatorship, he can impose whatever he wants over his people. But if you speak about a democratic country, you cannot implement this. You cannot impose anything over a citizen because his fundamental rights would be violated. Whenever your fundamental rights are violated, you can directly approach your custodian of the constitution, the Supreme Court or the High Court, to protect your fundamental rights or whatever you speak about that. And these things are fully based upon a government cannot impose anything over its citizens, and it has lots of limitation when it comes under the fundamental principles of the constitution against any citizen when you speak about this. The fourth one, the fourth function of a constitution is to enable the government to fulfill the separations of society and create conditions for a just society. The fourth one is very important when we speak about the constitution. It should provide equal justice to the society. It should provide equal justice to the society, especially to all the societies which is comprised inside the country or any society which you live. So it should have an equal justice. When you speak about languages as well as the division of states or something else, also what happens is that everyone should have an equal justice. That equal justice might be a social justice, an economic justice, a political justice, or a cultural justice when you're speaking about this. So these four things are very much important because why we need a constitution is that we say that we live in a federation. We say that we claim that we live in India. All those things are being said that because you are having a constitution, you are republic in nature, so that only you enjoy these kinds of things when you speak about the need of our constitution. So the next one, for better understanding, I'll show you a video.
Okay, so before we talk about what a constitution is, let's first explain why we need one. Let's start by looking at the fundamental things we all need as human beings. These are a voice in the decisions that affect our lives, material well-being such as food, shelter, and education, security and protection from violence or discrimination, and recognition and respect as individuals and communities. To help meet these needs, people create governments and delegate powers to them to exercise for the common good of society. The problem, though, is that while governments need powers to perform their functions, history tells us again and again that power without limits can lead to corruption, dictatorship, and oppression. Free, fair, and regular elections might help ensure good government. They allow people to select who they want in power, and over time, to vote out those who perform badly. But we also need some basic rules to control how that power is used, so that those who win elections still have to respect your rights and promote your interests, rather than using power for their own benefit. Just as in a game of football, there have to be rules and a referee. So in a democracy, there must be rules by which all the players are bound. These rules are provided in a constitution. The constitution is a law, but it's not just an ordinary law. A constitution is a supreme law that establishes, organizes, and empowers the government, and determines how other laws are made and implemented. It is also more difficult to change than ordinary laws, so that those in power cannot make up the rules as they go along. Football wouldn't be fair if the winning team could change the rules, and democracy isn't fair if those in power can just change the constitution according to their own whim. The constitution harnesses the energy and power of the state, ensuring that the people control the reins. This explains why when people are trying to establish a new, fairer society, one of the first things they do is write a new constitution. This is what Norway did in 1814, India in 1950, South Africa in 1996, and Colombia in 1991. Indeed, nearly all countries in the world have a constitution to establish rules for using power. On the other hand, we've seen that when a democratic government is illegally overthrown, one of the first things the coup leaders do
Sir? Hello, George sir. Hello.
means that no one
Hello.
person, party,
Yes, sir.
or
Till
institution
now it was unmuted.
Okay, okay, so
Oh, yeah, please, please.
sorry.
can accumulate too much organizes English rules for using power. On the other hand, we've seen that when a democratic government is illegally overthrown, one of the first things the coup leaders do is set their sights on destroying the constitution. They don't want any inconvenient limits on their ability to rule by force. So the Constitution both organizes and constrains power. Now, how does it do that? Well, there's several ways. One way is to divide power between different political institutions. For example, sharing functions between a president and a prime minister, or between two houses of the legislature. or between different levels of government, the national level, the regional, state, or provincial level, and the local level. A constitution defines the powers of these institutions and regulates the relationship between them. It also ensures that power is rotated. One year we may vote for one candidate or party, but after a few years, their time will be up, and we will have the chance to choose someone else. This means that no one person, party, or institution can accumulate too much power or stay in power too long. It is important to maintain a strict separation between the political institutions on the one hand, such as the elected parliament and government, and on the other hand, the permanent neutral institutions of the state, such as the courts, the military, the police, and the civil service. Constitutions also constrain power by saying what governments must and must not do. For example, a set of constitutional rights may specify that you can't be tortured, that you can't be imprisoned without due cause, and that your freedom of expression can't be infringed. Other provisions may direct the government to provide for basic human needs, such as education, healthcare, sanitation, or housing. Constitutions don't only protect the majority, there may be special provisions for minorities and marginalized groups for their security, their participation in government, and protections for their identity and culture. Most constitutions also have a nation-building function. They seek to embody national unity and to reflect and declare the identity of the nation and its people. The Constitution announces to citizens, to the government itself, and to the outside world what the nation is, what it stands for, where it has come from, and what its vision for the future might be. A good constitution is just one step along the road to a peaceful, prosperous, and democratic society, but it is a fundamental one. By setting down the rules by which the state should be governed, a good constitution helps to ensure that the democratic aspirations of the people become and remain a reality.
Okay, so it is a short video related to what do we speak about a constitution, a general view about what is a constitution. So the next thing which we are going to see is that when we speak about a constitution, it has a set of values. It has a set of values. When we speak about our Indian constitution, till now we were seeing about the general aspects about the constitution, and hereafter we will be seeing about what is our constitutional value and how far the preamble speaks about the all the aspects about the constitution. All the aspects about the constitution we are going to discuss over here. So one thing which makes us more proud about our constitution is our preamble. So the preamble was borrowed from America, that is our USA. Though we say it is a borrowed one, the only the words are being borrowed. We, the people of India, that is the word which we have borrowed from them. And many countries have the same ideology by saying that having the same statement, we, the people of so and so country, it is there. But our constitution, our preamble is entirely a different one. Only the first word, we the people, we are using that. And beyond that, what happens, we have a higher amount of social justice, which we focus upon lots of values related to our constitution, lots of values related to our constitution, which makes us more proud enough to show that our preamble is a full of integrating all the aspects of our country. The first thing which I want to say is that it has equality, fraternity, sovereignty, socialist, secular, democratic, and liberty, which is one of the most important ideologies of our preamble that we also take this in our present life and we follow them in our present life when we speak about this. So whenever you practice these kind of things, take an example, when you treat others as equal, it shows that you are very much for that you are satisfying our constitutional needs of others also, which is one of the best privilege which I can say that. So based upon these kinds of constitutional values, we'll be seeing each and everything compared with our preamble, that makes us more prouder on this day when we speak about November 26th. Okay. So, how far the preamble to any constitution is a brief and brief statement that conveys the guiding principle of the document. The preamble to the Indian constitution also does so. The values expressed in the preamble are the express objective of the constitution. So, uh, we always feel that whenever you take a book, there is always a phase, in chapters. A preface gives you an inner side of what the book deals about. Likewise, even a constitution has a preface or introduction. You say it has an introduction which has the overall aspects of the entire constitution into a nutshell by saying that, okay, this is the aspect which the constitution deals with. So, our constitution is an introduction part where the preamble plays an important role. Here, you have expressed lots of ideas by saying that all the objectives that a country is going to follow from the day of adopting your constitution, and we are still having the belief and we practicing it to implement in all the parts of the country, which shows that we are always proud to implement our preamble throughout the nation. So, the first thing which I want to see here and which I want to discuss is about the sovereignty. So, you may have read the preamble. The preamble you may be already reading, or in this day, always when you have a constitutional day celebration, what they do is that they read the preamble, that is we the people of India, and finally you say that on the 26th November 1949 we adopt this constitution. That is a statement which we used to take a pledge in the constitutional day, which always happens. So in that thing you have different kinds of points which we wanted to discuss over here. That is, first one is the sovereignty. The sovereignty plays an important role. What do you mean by a sovereignty in the sense is that a sovereignty is nothing but it is supreme in nature. It is supreme in nature in the sense by saying that a country is not dependent on any other country. Take an example, India as a country, once it was a colony of the Britain, once it was a colony of the Britain, and it has two implications in the sense is that you need to understand you have your internal sovereignty as well as your external sovereignty. Internally, while speaking about this, you say that we have a powerful constitution which governs all the matters of the federalism. Federalism in the sense that you have your state, you have your union territory, and for that you have the supreme law of the land, you have your constitution by saying that this constitution is being dedicated to the entire nation, where we are not dependent upon other countries' constitution. So, if you read the history of the British colony of India, how far it was being controlled in India based upon their constitution, you can understand those kinds of things when you're speaking about their external sovereignty who were trying to control our country. That was there. The next thing here I want to say is that about the external sovereignty, majorly, majorly what happens is that major parts of your external sovereignty is that no country can control our country. No country cannot control our country because on the grounds of external sovereignty, because you have your own constitution. So it is always supreme in nature and you cannot be controlled by somebody else. You cannot be controlled by somebody else and from outside encroachments. So you cannot have any outside encroachments to control your country when you're speaking about this kind of thing. The next one, the next ideology inside the preamble is that about our socialism. So socialism is important because it came under the 14th Amendment Constitution. We have adopted this because we wanted to have uh, an equal society. We wanted to have an equal society. When you wanted an equal society, what happens here is that you need to remove all kinds of inequalities. You need to remove all kinds of inequalities, and this concept was very much impressed from, especially the ideas of Jawaharlal Nehru was always impressed with the ideas of socialism, and he also wanted to adopt this concept. And this is also being reflected based upon the Russian ideology, and we have adopted inside our constitution also. Especially, we have added inside the preamble by saying that uh, we have a socialist state uh, implementing uh, lots of plans and actions when it comes under this. So our constitution directs the government and the people to ensure planned and coordinated social development in all fields. So we have a coordinated development, especially when it comes under all kinds of schemes in India, whichever is implemented. We highly focus upon social and economic well-being, especially providing social and economic equality for all the citizens when you're speaking about these kinds of grounds. And these are also being mentioned even in our fundamental rights as well as in your directive principles of state policy to implement in each and every state government as well as at the central level as well as at the national level when they frame policies to the country. They need to consider about the socio-economic equality, especially to remove poverty and other kinds of social issues. They have these socialistic ideologies which is being implemented. So the next one, secularism. So secularism also plays an important role, but nowadays you have a huge threat for secularism. Nowadays you have huge same kinds of things, but an ideology by saying that India is a home of secularism. India is a home of secularism. We have multiple religions in the country, but one thing you should understand that in this ideology, when you speak about a constitution clearly says that India is a secular country, but the state doesn't have any. That is the thing which they want to come. They wanted to say here is that the state doesn't have any religion. But if you take other world nations, a state has a religion. A state has a religion. Take an example, Pakistan. They have, they do not have a concept called a secularism. Instead, they have a state religion. So, majority religion is Islam over there. Or if you take UAE, what happens is that they have a single religion. When you speak about those kinds of things, that a state has a religion, but in India, India doesn't have a state religion, or it doesn't encourage anyone to have a state religion when it comes under this category. So anyone can follow any kinds of religions they want under Article 25 of the Constitution, which says about the that is our cultural, religious rights, and we're speaking about those kinds of category, which highly speaks about our secularism, and this is being there when you're speaking about this. The next one, democracy. Country highly believes highly believes in democracy because when we speak about democratic countries of the whole world, many countries over the whole world believe in democracy. So today, exactly when you're counting how many countries follow democratic form of government, you can understand that it is more than 121 countries which follow a democratic form of system for their. And India is one of the most successful democratic country which has the largest population in the whole world. And we believe in democratic ideology. We much believe in democratic ideologies when we're speaking about these kinds of things. So, especially the democracy gives you highest power of using your universal adult franchise. So you may be knowing that once it was 21 and after your independence and other kinds of things, what happened? It has been reduced to 18. So you have your voting rights at the age of 18 itself, which shows that you enjoy this kind of democratic ideologies, which makes you very much tolerant and encourages to obey the law of the land, your rights, and you believe in your judiciary and other kinds of things, which makes you very much democratic in nature, in exercising your powers and other kinds of things when you're speaking about this. One more thing, we need to speak about republic. So, India is a republic country. You might be knowing India is not only a democratic country, we believe in a republic. So, you have your republic authority where everything is based upon an election, and you have a presidential president as well as your prime minister. We do not believe in a monarchy rule. We do not believe in a monarchy rule where your representatives are being equally nominated as well as they are being elected on the grounds of head of the state, as well as you have all kinds of provisions. You have all kinds of provisions where people directly or indirectly elect the members when you come speak about this kind of thing. And it shows that you're very much republic, where you have your constitution which claims that you are always republic in nature. And this shows that you can elect your representatives, which is a symbol of your democratic ideology. Next one, justice. Justice also is very much important. Everyone has an equal justice when you speak about the constitution, as well as the preamble also resembles this one by saying that as a democratic system, you need to ensure that every citizen has an equal justice. That is, everyone cannot be denied with any kinds of rights, but whenever their rights are being denied, they have an equal justice on the grounds of socio-economic and all kinds of things when we're speaking about it. So, especially our constitution makes us very much clear by saying that socio-economic and political justice are one of the core values of our constitution. Are the core values of the constitution. Everyone should be given equal justice on the grounds of social, economic, and political aspects when speaking about the form of justice when speaking. Next one, liberty. So liberty in the sense is that you have a freedom to express whatever you want. So you enjoy the freedom of liberty, especially expression. You have your own belief, your worship are the core values when you speak about liberty. So you enjoy this. If you take any other country, they do not have these kinds of provisions. So you enjoy these kinds of things, which shows that our forefathers have made everyone to be very much enjoying their liberty, especially without their expression, the faith and worship and other kinds of things when we're speaking about it. And it has been done so because the ideals of democracy cannot be attained without the presence of certain human rights, which are essential for a free and a civilized existence of individuals. So the statement itself is very much clear. When you follow a democratic ideology, what happens is that you have the freedom of free expression, and it shows that you are well civilized individuals by saying that you have a thought, you have an expression, you have a belief, you have a faith and a worship in this beginning of this. The next one, equality. Equality, it is one of the most core values of our constitution, and it ensures everyone has an equality of status. That is, everyone has a status and has an opportunity to enjoy as a citizen. To enjoy as a citizen, you enjoy everything, and especially for your development and other kinds of things are being focused over here. So you are being treated as equal inside the society, and everything, the concept which is being said inside the preamble is that all kinds of equality, that social equality, economic equality, political equality, whatever it is, you are having an equal opportunity to take part in this, which shows that as a human being, you need to feel that you are very much dignified and said that you are always equal among each other. This is one of the most important principles of this preamble, treating everyone as equal. Fraternity. So the next one, when you speak about fraternity, it shows that you have a brotherhood. That is, you have a feeling that you have a brotherhood. That is, which is a common principle of India. That is, you have a commitment by saying that you have a common brotherhood because you have different kinds of plural societies in India. You have lots of societies based upon plural ideologies, that is based upon your language and other kinds of things. So you have a brotherhood by saying that brotherhood or sisterhood when it comes under this kind of thing, and you enjoy the fraternity by saying that you enjoy fraternity, and there is no forms of discrimination. Though you have lots of concepts related to abolition of untouchability, discrimination, communalization, or other kinds of things, but we always, when it comes to the nation, we always stand with brotherhood as well as sisterhood when it comes under these kinds of things. Next one, dignity of citizen. Everyone has a dignity. You need to understand that as citizen, you have dignity. And being as an individual, what you enjoy is that everyone should be treated with dignity. Everyone has dignity, even if it is a layman, even if you are rich, even if you are poor, based upon class or whatever class struggle it is, you have dignity. So everyone has a dignified life, and you have dignity inside this. So the democracy encourages that you have dignity. You have dignity when you're speaking about this, and it shows that without dignity you cannot live. Without dignity you cannot live. So it gives you an equal participation by saying that you have a dignified life, and every individual has dignity. Every individual has dignity when you're speaking about these kinds of things. So a democratic form of government always provides you that you are always dignified. You are always dignified, and you enjoy this dignity throughout your life. That is there when you're speaking about the dignity of an individual. Next one, unity and integrity of the nation. You always have a unity and integrity of nation because, as we said already, you have fraternity and other kinds of things as a core value of your preamble. You always speak about unity and integrity because we always have a unity among all the states of India, especially to promote unity and diversity, especially based upon states, based upon union territories, based upon languages, whatever it is. What we highly stress is that we always stand with unity. We always stand with unity, and we take part with integrating all the states of India by saying that we are all together. We are all together when you're speaking about this kind of thing. And international peace and just over international war. Here, you need to understand that we have a proper international relations. We have a proper international relations. When you speak about this, our preamble also describes that you always promote international peace. Take an example, October 2nd, we celebrate as Gandhi Jayanti. But United Nations is celebrating as that is the day of International Day of Peace and Non-Violence Day. So which shows that we are promoting international peace throughout the whole world by saying that we believe in the ideologies of peace. We do not take anything under revolution or other kinds of things, but we wanted to promote international peace and security. Likewise, to maintain a good relationship with other countries, that is between nations, and also to respect the international laws whichever is there, with lots of treaties, obligations, and other kinds of things without any forms of weapons. That is arbitration. Without any kinds of weapons, we take part in these kinds of things, which is also one of the most important values when you're speaking about the preamble with the constitutional values, which makes us also feel that it is very much proud when you're speaking about this. And lastly, when you're speaking about these kinds of things, fundamental duties. So, fundamental duties are also very much important when you're speaking about these kinds of things. That is, what and all a citizen should do. So, what is his responsibility? As a citizen, what is his responsibility? Though you enjoy your fundamental rights and other kinds of things, you also have lots of duties. Take an example, a best example, your fundamental duty is that whenever you have your national anthem, it is a 52-second national anthem. What happens is that we are not ready to sing the national anthem or stand in a position to respect the national anthem. Many are there. Even in many institutions, I can find these kinds of things. What happens is that whenever you have a national anthem, they cannot control themselves for 52 seconds. What happens? They divert their consciousness to the mobile phone or something else where they are very much interested in those kinds of things. It shows that you do not respect the national anthem or the uh, song which is being sung for 52 seconds. What happens? You do not respect your fundamental duty when we are speaking about this. And the values are very simple. This concept is being borrowed from Russia, but what happens is that when you compare with the Russian constitution, their duties are very lengthy. They have lots of duties when you're comparing with the Russian constitution. But what happens here is that they have a huge ideology over it. They respect their constitution. They have a huge amount of ideology when you're speaking about the Russian constitution. They respect the duty. They are very much respectable about their duties, and they have a huge concern over patriotism and other kinds of things. So here also we have much importance over our patriotism, nationalism, humanism, environmentalism, harmonious living, gender equality, scientific temper, inquiry, and individual and collective excellence. We have these kinds of things. These are all 11 fundamental duties we have inside our constitution. But how far as a citizen we are following, that is a question mark over here. So how far we are doing this? But if these were all the fundamental right, what will be happening is that it will be having much privilege. It might be having much privilege when you're speaking about, when you're having this as a fundamental right itself. It might be having a huge weightage. Many of them used to say this. So these are some of the important things when you're speaking about. So another thing which I want to say here is that which makes us more proud when you're speaking about our fundamental rights. So our fundamental rights makes us more when you're speaking about uh, our constitution. It makes us more proud when you speak about your fundamental rights. So if you're comparing with other nations about their fundamental rights, it is somewhat lesser. It doesn't give much emphasis because a country like India, which has lots of societal, social, and economic backgrounds, which has lots of inequalities, we have the fundamental rights which is being very much strengthened. So you can find this right to equality starting from 14 till 18. So in this, most important thing is your 14th article, equality before law and equal protection of law. So it's very clear by saying that everyone is equal before the law. You cannot say that I am the first citizen of the country and I am the first citizen of the country, or you are the second citizen of the country. Everyone, when it comes under the law, you are equal. You are not the highest or the lowest when you come under the law. All are treated as equal when you're speaking about this. And one more article which is most important, end of untouchability. So the vision is very much clear that still you have untouchability practice in India. You have more than 400 types of untouchability practice still even in India. And you might be seeing this modern slavery index. It is an index which is being published each and every year. You can find this modern slavery index, which shows that India stands around the second place in modern slavery index, or it stands between 1 to 5, which shows that some other forms of modern slavery is still practiced in India, which shows that here we say that untouchability is being abolished and other kinds of things are not there here, but you still follow untouchability, which is still in reality. Every day you find news related to untouchability or violations against Dalits and tribes when you're speaking about these kinds of things. So that is there. And one more thing is that abolition of titles. So here there is nobody called as a king or queen over here. That is also very much important by saying that you can enjoy this terms for independence by saying that I'm the king, I'm the queen, or something else. But those kinds of titles are being abolished by saying that except for military and academic purposes, they give certain titles that when you're speaking about the equality, when you're speaking about it. Then when you speak about right to freedom, so Article 19. So you have these things and all, many of them might be discussing that by saying that you have freedom of speech, expression, freedom of assembly, forming association, residence and settlement, and profession, trade and business, protection in respect of conviction of offences, Article 21, protection of life and personal liberty. Everything is there. You might be knowing this because many of them would be speaking much about right to freedom. So you are enjoying the right to freedom on many grounds when you're speaking about this. So this is also very much important, which makes us more proud when you're speaking about this. And next one, right against exploitation, that is human trafficking, and that is being prohibited. But you know that human trafficking is being prohibited under the Article 23, but India is one of the top 5 countries which is shows that which is a hub of trafficking, which is a hub of trafficking in South Asian countries, by saying that India is a trade place of having huge amount of trafficking human beings, especially male and female, especially children. That is very much common. So human trafficking is very much common in India. So for that reason, it is being already mentioned inside our constitution that it is being prohibited. But recent scenarios, it shows that it has huge amount of trafficking incidences. Top 5, within top 5 we also belong in that category. That is also there. So then Article 24 also, we speak about child. But if you go to any stores or some tea shops, you can find children working as cleaning this tea glasses or taking the plates or something else. You can find those kinds of things. Though we mentioned that there is no child labor or no children below the age of 14 is being recruited in any organization or somewhere else, but it happens because of our social and economic conditions. It still happens when you're speaking about it. Next one, right to freedom of religion. So this is also one of the major things, which is one of the most important things when you speak about fundamental rights, because a country which has more than major religions, major customs and traditions, it has varieties of things. But what happens here is that it is a fundamental right. You can follow whatever religion. Nobody can compel you that you need to follow this religion, because as I said earlier, a state doesn't have any religion. A state doesn't have any religion. In this ground, what happens is it shows that every citizen can follow any kind of religion. Some houses, if you're going, you can find secular. They have gods of Hindus, Islam, as well as you have Christian gods, which is being kept in their um, houses. They are being worshipping. They have lots of secular ideologies, and some are, even if you want to be say that those are non-believers of God, those who call themselves an atheist, also comes under these kinds of categories. But these things are very much important, which gives you much freedom of your religion. You can practice, you can practice profession, propagation, whatever you want, you can do those kinds of things. And these are privileges over here. Cultural and education rights based upon giving protection to the minorities, starting minority institutions, and Article 10, that is the 44th Amendment, which was speaking about the right to property. Right to property is being removed from this category. And when you're speaking the heart and soul of the Constitution, that is the, when you speak of the heart Constitution, that is about the Article 32, constitutional liberties, where Ambedkar is always said this is the heart and soul of the Constitution, which speaks about lots of writs, that is habeas corpus. Watching lots of movies or even in lots of televisions, you can find this habeas corpus is very much common. Habeas corpus, when it is common, what happens is that when you speak about habeas corpus, a person should be produced before the court, alive or dead, within 24 hours. And it's so many cases in India is fully based upon habeas corpus, mostly missing cases. Missing cases, it comes under habeas corpus, equality before law and protection law. Many things are there. You have 5 writs over this, and mostly we speak about corpus when we speak about the fundamental right. Then you have the directive principles of state policy, which has socioeconomic principles, liberal principles, Gandhian principles, and national principles. So your fundamental rights makes you proud, because these rights can be justified. These rights can be justified because whenever you have a breach of fundamental rights, what happens? You can take it to the Supreme Court or the High Court or another judiciary by saying that the right is being violated. When you speak directive principles, unjustified rights, because these are all guiding principles. If you want, you can follow. If not, you can leave it, based upon the ideology of the state. So that only you have these kinds of 3 principles, that is socio-economic, liberal principles, Gandhian principles, and international principles when we're speaking about this. So socio-economic principles, you have this article starting from 38, and it goes on. It muchly focus upon social and economic principles, especially on the grounds of employment, on the grounds of giving nutrition and other kinds of things when you're speaking about this. In this also, you can find that even if you are unemployed, also if you are registering your degree in an employment exchange, what happens? The state policy gives you 4 rupees each and every month for this socio-economic principle, by guaranteeing that even if you're a citizen over here in India, if you're unemployed also, the government is ready to pay you 400 rupees. But if you think that 400 rupees is very much lesser, take an example of the population of unemployed graduates in India. It is around, almost around 16 crore people who are unemployed in India, who have been registered under the employment exchange or other kinds of norms. Take an example, 414 crores, amount is higher. So if you take in major countries, if you take in Russia, what happens is that you need to be employed within 100 days after completing a degree. That is the duty of the government over there to provide an employment. If not, they'll put you in an asylum by giving you all kinds of socio-economic benefits over there. They have lots of rehabilitation camps and other kinds of things when you're speaking about it. So these principles are being impressed. These principles are impressed because it highly focuses upon socio-economic principles that is there, especially for your common that is also there. When you speak about liberal principles, so it speaks about the uniform civil code, especially it speaks about early childhood care. That is, you might be knowing this Palwadis and Anganwadis function for children, providing a nutritious meal to all the children below the age of 0 to 6. That is around the age of 0 to 6. It speaks about those kinds of things. And a state's duty is to provide proper childhood care because from starting with the age of 0 to 6 by vaccination and giving food and other kinds of things, because India is one of the country which is malnourished under the top 6 countries of the whole world. Top 6 countries, we are one of the country which is fully malnourished with the children starting from 0 to 6, and especially uh, boy child are mostly malnourished from 0 to 6, and that shows that the comparison between the girl and boy, what happens is 0 to 6 years, male child, especially the boy child, is almost malnourished. They're coming with lots of reports when you're studying each and every year the step of the human development index or the child development index on those kinds of things. So lots of liberal principles are there when you're speaking about this. And one more thing, when we want to speak about the Gandhian principle, especially to satisfy Gandhi and his principles, what happened, Ambedkar has used this directive principles by adopting some principles of Gandhi, what it can be done. That is starting cottage industries, especially local self-government, that is the panchayats, district panchayats, and other kinds of things, 70 constitution amendment act, and adoption drugs and other kinds of things we're speaking about this kind of. Then have international principles, as we have already discussed about these kinds of things based upon the international peace, security, and those things. Already it has been reflected in your preamble itself. So those things we have already discussed. So then you have your fundamental duties. That first thing, your duty is to respect fundamental rights. Is that to obey your constitution. You need to have your respect over your constitution. You should not say that my moral rights superior than your constitution right. You should not claim that. Because it gives that your constitutional right only gives you a moral right. Without the constitutional existence, it cannot guarantee your moral right when you come about. You need to respect your constitution, then you need to protect the sovereignty and integrity of our country. Cherish all the noble ideas of national struggle of freedom fighters, especially protecting your environment. You should have scientific temper and knowledge when you're speaking about this. Those things are very much important when you're speaking about the fundamental duties. So respecting your national flag, you might be knowing that when you have a national flag also, uh, it is your duty to protect a national flag where it should not get soaked by the rain. So whenever you use the flag also, if it is a heavy rain, what happens is that you should not make your national flag get soaked inside that. There are lots of rules and regulations when you're speaking about your national flag. As a common citizen, also, you need to respect your national flag. You need to respect it only on August 15 or Republic Day. Respecting it doesn't mean like that. And even having plastic flags. So, plastic flags are being banned because it was a case over the plastic flags, because on that day they used the flag and they throw it away. So, those kinds of issues are there. So you need to respect many kinds of things when you're speaking about your fundamental duties. You need to protect lots of things because it is a huge topic. We cannot cover all those kinds of things. You need to understand by reading it. So beyond this, we have some interesting facts about our constitution. What are some of the interesting facts about our constitution? It has totally 1,17,369 words, which is written in an English version. You need to understand that. Our constitution is being written in English, which is both languages it is being written, that is in Hindi and English it is being written, but it is not in a typed manner. It is not typed, instead it is being written. So here you need to understand that uh, Now, presently, you have 448 articles, 22 parts, 12 schedules, and 115 amendments. Presently, when you're speaking about the writings, the words which is there in the Constitution, it is the longest Constitution in the world. You need to understand that no other Constitution in the world has such a lengthy chapters, parts, and other kinds of things when you're speaking about this. And it is fully made as a writing. Then it is fully written. It wasn't being typed. It is written in Hindi and English when you're speaking about this. Then it was being handwritten by Prem Bahari Narayan Raiza in a flowing italic style with beautiful calligraphy. So calligraphy you might be knowing, the pen which they use for writing calligraphy with that. So based upon that, Prem Bahari he wrote the entire constitution. The constitution was published in Dehradun and photo lithographed by the Survey of India. Still, the document is being protected. So the first copy was being released in Dehradun. Each page uniquely decorates by the artists of Shanti Niketan. You may be knowing Shanti Niketan, and based upon Behar Ram Manohar Sinha and Nandalal Bose, where they used to decorate the entire constitution. Decorating in the sense is that if you see the constitution, the sides, especially the left, right, and the top and bottom, is fully based upon artistic work when we speak about this. And the next thing is that our constitution is fully based upon the bag of borrowing. Bag of borrowings in the sense that our concepts are being borrowed from various nations. Concept is being borrowed from various nations when you're speaking about this thing. And on this, when we adopted our constitution itself, that is, we say that when our constitution came into force on 26th January 1950, we also adopted our national emblem, which has the Ashoka, lion capital, and other kinds of things. It is being adopted on the same day when we're speaking about this. So these are some of the activities we are going to do now. If you're interested, you can take a snapshot and you can practice and see this so that it will be very much useful how far you can differentiate it. So you can see this, read the list below. Out of these 6 words that you may consider values for yourself and write those in the box, and you can practice this. So there are 3 columns starting with freedom, love, money, passion, creativity. Like this, there are 6 columns in a row. So you can take this values and whatever things you like, you can make it as a priority. Out of the 6, you can make 2 as your priority, and you can say that these are your values which you're going to follow in your life. So that, like that only, your constitution also has a value which makes you more proud when you speak about this. So this is an activity. I'll share the PPT with your staff members so that you can practice and see this. And one more thing is also there. So this is a jumbled words. You can easily identify what are the words. 11 things I have done. So the first one is constitution. Likewise, it is a jumbled word. You can unscramble it and you can write the answers below. If you want, you can practice this also. And the last one. So this is also an activity based upon person 1, person 2, person 3, and person 4 or 5. You can decide what and all you have your constitution values, and these are all the columns. You can take a survey and see how far the people are enjoying this, or you can have a priority by making a survey. Many of them, they say that how could I make a constitutional survey? How far the people are respecting our constitution or something else. They can make these kinds of things within your family members, within your teachers, or something else. You can make a study out of this, and you can do these kinds of activities, and you can see this. So I think I have almost completed. So the concept is very vast. So we cannot cover the entire thing. For a time being, in a nutshell, we can give this. So based upon this, I have given you. So if you have any clarifications, you can ask me.
Dear students, I think it is wonderful session. Friends, do you have any questions, queries to raise? You're all free to raise so that the resource person, Dr. George, will answer or clarify your doubts. Yeah, please. So I guess that what's our expressed. Present the paper on this Our Constitution, Our Pride webinar. Hope you all understood well. I think it is all end what. I think I can go for further, right? I think, friends, no more questions. Yeah, yeah. All your doubts and questions cleared by our resource person, Dr. Josh, sir. And now it is my privilege to propose vote of thanks. Friends, all good things come to an end, and I would like to quote here Dr.B.E. Ambedkar's statement. That is, I like the religion that teaches liberty, equality, and the fraternity. On behalf of the Indian Academy Degree College Autonomous Bangalore, I take this opportunity to thank who have either directly or indirectly contributed to this webinar on our Constitution, Our Pride, organized by the Department of Political Science. At the outset, I thank our resource person, Dr. George. We really enlightened with your knowledge and sharing on a topic which was very interesting. Sir, on behalf of the Indian Academy Degree College Autonomous and Management, I thank personally. I feel proud to have a good friend as well as resource person on this event, Our Constitution, Our Pride. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
We are all thankful to the chairman, secretary, COO, vice principal, head of the Commerce Department of Indian Academy Education Trust, Bangalore for their motivation. I would like to thank our beloved principal, Dr. E. John Xavier, for enthusiastic involvement in all our departmental activities. Thank you, sir. A special thanks to our HOD, Ms. Deepa, the coordinator for Humanities Department of Indian Academy Degree College, Autonomous, Bangalore. I also thank my colleagues, teaching staff, non-teaching, technical support, so technical staff for their kind support and coordination. Thank you all. Our heartfelt thanks to you, dear students, and all your other participants who have joined this talk, special talk on Our Constitution, Our Pride, for your active participation. With this word, I would like to thank once again to all for the active participation in this webinar. Thank you all. Friends, one more information for all the students. The attendance we already noted down, and it will share with the HODs of both BBA department and BCom department as a part of your co-curricular activities and extracurricular activities. Thank you all. George sir, thank you once again. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, George sir. Thank you, dear students.